and welcome to Ghost Stories and Gardening. Now today I'm going to introduce you to Charlie. He was the last generation of his family to live there, and after he passed away his wife continued to live there, and after she passed away that's when it was sold. Now Charlie was always the most prominent spirit for me. I could always sense him. I always knew it was him even when I didn't see him, and most of the time I did see him, but there were times when I didn't. Now a lot of the time I could differentiate between the different spirits, so 9 times out of 10 I knew who it was. Some of the time I would go into a room and it would be so crowded with spirits that I couldn't tell the difference, but most of the time I could. But I could always tell when it was Charlie, as I said, even when I couldn't see him. Now one of his main rooms was the study. Now it's where I did my schoolwork, so I did have to go in there quite a lot, but when I was younger it was never by myself. But there were times when I did have to go in there at night by myself, which I didn't like if I'd forgotten something. Now, as I said previously, it was an old house and a lot of it didn't have main lights, it just had lamps. Now the study was one of them. So you had the fireplace as you walked in on the left, and then at the far end of the room you had a lamp on a desk, and that was at the time the main source of light. So I would have to switch the lamp on to be able to see. Now in the corner, right hand corner, there was a cupboard, and then near that there was another cupboard which was behind a desk. Now that desk was much bigger, and that was Charlie's desk. If you ever saw him in there, you'd walk past, the door would always be open, even though you closed it. You would see him sitting at the desk writing. It was very much still his house, and he was still there going about his business on a daily basis. So you didn't get in his way, you respected him, and you sort of left him alone and didn't disturb him. So the times when I did have to go into the study to get something that I'd forgotten, I would run from the door over to the lamp, try and very quickly switch the lamp on, but it did seem to take an eternity. But you would stand there knowing full well that he was in the room because I could sense him. So I'd switch the lamp on knowing full well that when I turned round he would either be sat at his desk or stood behind me. And of course I would switch the lamp on, turn around, and I would see him. So at that point I would just apologise for disturbing him, explain that I just needed to get something and that I would be out of his way momentarily, get my stuff and run out of there, leaving the lamp on, because I wasn't going to run out of there in darkness because it was scary enough. The worst times was when you would run over to the lamp knowing that you'd be safe once you switched the lamp on and the bulb had gone. That was always fun. So at that point I would just put my head down, stare at the floor and run out of there and shut the door, because I wasn't staying in there with no light in there. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please join me next time for more ghost stories and gardening.